everyone back out there in YouTube land. Welcome back to the Nonprofits. So the after-school Satan Club at a Tennessee elementary school finds itself faced with the opposition from faith and education leaders in Memphis. Despite the legal obligation to allow the club, the faith community criticized the district's decision, emphasizing the necessity of signing permission slips for students. District leaders vocally oppose the club, firmly stating, Satan has no room in the district. The Satanic Temple, a non-theistic religion, is said to utilize the school's space, a move supported by this district policy. As tensions rise, some critics go further, demanding a ban on all faith organizations, revealing an escalating conflict between religious freedom and the district's stance. Well, all I can say to that is, hail Satan. This story comes from AP News that was published on December 14th, 2023. So, Scott, say words and have opinions. Talk.
That was kind of, you gave me a wide berth there. Say words. Okay, I can throw some numbers in too, I think. But you know, these stories about these after-school Satan clubs, I think are, well, on one hand, they're hilarious, and on the other hand, they're awesome. I just love this, and the reason I think it's awesome is not because I think we need, quote, room for Satan. I don't want to, let the secret out, but atheists don't believe in Satan either. Okay, that's a religious thing. That's you guys that believe in Satan, not us. Present company excluded, of course. But I do think it's awesome because it's working. Okay, and so here's a quote from the article from the interim superintendent, Tony Williams. She said, as a superintendent, I am duty bound to uphold our board policy, state laws, and the Constitution, but let's not be fooled. Let's not be fooled by what we've seen in the past 24 hours, which is an agenda initiated to make sure that we cancel all faith-based organizations that partner with our district. And I have to say, I agree with every word of that statement. Yes, it's an agenda. It's an effective agenda. The Satanic Temple is just playing this perfectly, and they've placed themselves in a can't-lose situation. On one hand, if, as this interim superintendent is worried about, if they're concerned about, that it does end up closing down all religious-based organizations at public schools, then that's a win, right? Those types of organizations, those types of programs don't really have any place in our public schools anyway. So I would guess that the ultimate goal of the Satanic Temple is exactly that, for the cessation of these, these faith-based organizations, these religious programs for the students. Just don't have them at the school. Separation of church and state and Constitution and all that good stuff. Our country was founded on freedom of religion, and that freedom requires freedom from religion in order to be complete. And then on the other hand, if they let the club stand, then that's a win as well, because then the Satan Club will be there and it will offer a non-religious alternative for students and parents that are not interested in having that religion seep into their students' educational space. If you're going to allow clubs that address anything outside the school curriculum, you need to allow equal access, and that's their lever here. It's the whole what's good for the goose and is good for the gander. But what I think is the funniest thing of this whole thing is that it's a two-layer joke. Now, I love a nice two-layered joke. And so there's the obvious reading of it that, the whole be careful what you wish for, you might get it kind of funny. But they're also pointing a huge spotlight on the fact that all you have to do is say the word Satan and the pearl clutchers go into overdrive, right? You just, all you have to do is call a club a Satan club, and they freak out. They have meetings and they have hearings and they make statements and they do this and they're picketing and they're all this kind of stuff. The clubs have nothing to do with Satan. It's not related. It's clubs about togetherness and about social responsibility and critical thinking and human rights and science. The list goes on, but the list has nothing to do with a devil. Despite our lovely horned avatar of evil on the panel here today, that has nothing to do with the after-school Satan Club. What better way to showcase that than to make a kids club with a scary name and watch all the adults start clucking around and pecking each other's eyes out? As a teacher, a parent, an American, my official statement is, I think this is fucking awesome. Phil, what are your thoughts?
Yeah. As you said there correctly, Scott, this the Satan Club has nothing to do with religion. And let me just give a few of the tenets of, we love to provide evidence. So there are about 7 fundamental tenets of the Satanic Temple. They talk about striving a person to strive to act with compassion, empathy towards all creatures in accordance with reason. The struggle for justice, ongoing and necessary pursuit that should prevail over laws and the institution. One's body is inviolable, subject to one's own will alone. The freedoms of others should be respected, including the freedom to offend, right? To willfully and unjustly encroach upon the freedoms of others is to forego as one own. Belief should conform to one's best scientific understanding of the world. As you said, they teach science, encourage scientific thinking. One should take care never to distort scientific facts to fit one's belief, which Christianity and a lot of other religions do. They try to contort scientific facts to fit your beliefs. People are fallible. If one makes a mistake, one should do one's best to rectify it and resolve any harm that may have been caused. And finally, every tenet is a guiding principle designed to inspire nobility in action and thought. The spirit of compassion, wisdom, and justice should always prevail over this written or spoken word. So nowhere in there do we have anything with reference to any deity, worshiping any Satan. All Satan means is a title meaning adversary, going against something that is not that good. It is how it's being used, to go against the religious right that is trying to indoctrinate children into believing a sky daddy and so on, and trying to push these programs into schools and don't want separation of church and state. So I find it's hypocritical of these Christians, because if there was a church proposing to do the club, they will not be making this noise. They will not be keeping such, protests.
Right.
It's hypocrisy 101. Yeah, Jonathan, what are your thoughts?
I have a few thoughts on this, not many. The Satanic Temple is again scoring a victory here. The Guardian has a report on the first meeting of the After School Satan Club in Tennessee, and it was a success. Even with a few dozen protesters carrying Christian signs and spouting nonsense as usual. The article, I put the article here. The club did not apparently go to court because the school district, MSCS, decided they could not prevent it and would obey the law, which I would expect any school district to do, though not all of them do. My take is congratulations to the Satanic Temple and to the After School Satan Club for a job well done. This, even though this victory, it will be, of course, another way the Christians can claim discrimination and oppression by the law. Yeah. That is pathetic, but it would be laughable if it was not so dangerous. Once again, reiterating the tenets of the Satanic Temple do not have any mention of anything supernatural in it. So get a grip, people. And with that, Helen?
So I'm a card-carrying member of the TSD. I have a little card that I keep in my wallet, and it has my membership and my name, and on the back is all of the 7 tenets.
Yeah, were you actually a pitchfork too? Do you have a pitchfork?
I like that's on order.
Okay, I would assume.
Yeah, it's gonna like. Listen, y'all.
Pitchforks.
As we go into 2024, Helen's gonna turn and go full demon. Just wait.
All right.
So anyway,
watch out, world.
Watch out. So I am so happy this is a win. And also launching this week is another sailing club in Johnson County, Kansas for high school students. So let's go clap. Yay, go claps. Yay. And I think this is a wonderful example of political activism, an example of fighting for the separation of church and state. Because I want to remind you now, you're not in any school across the United States, you can have a Muslim club after school. You can have a Christian club. You can have a pagan club. You can have, I worship Bob the Wonder Toast club, whatever it is. And this shows that because the Satanic Temple is recognized as a religion within the United States under the laws of the Constitution and meets all the criteria, basically school districts and people that are like pearl clutchers want to say that, the TSD is not a religion. We're a non-theistic religion, but we are a religion. And guess what we're teaching in the Satan Club? Science, skeptical thinking, humanism, taking care of your fellow human beings, and understanding the reality that you live in, which is wonderful. And I think that every child should learn this. I think it's beneficial. I don't care, even if you still believe have that belief, you should understand how, science works and be a humanist, treat other people with kindness. And I think that we need more of that, especially since we do enough stories on these issues. So, I love a win. Also, as well, I want to point out that when these clubs happen, there's strict criteria that the TSD has of the people that are going to be doing this program. Like if you're teaching science, you have to be a science teacher. And if you're going to teach humanistic values, you have to have some sort of degree of like sociology, psychology, and also be able to present it to whatever age group that you're presenting, that they will understand it, that it shows a curriculum. And that's what the TSD did when the school districts, and they were like, hey, we need to be able to do this too. And though it bugs the people of Tennessee and it bugs the people of Kansas, because, and there's more and more of these popping up across the United States, you might not like something. You might get butthurt about it, but that doesn't mean it can't exist. So again, hail Satan. I have more to say about this in a little bit, but I'm going to pass it back over to Scott.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. As you were saying, Helen, these clubs are popping up all over the country, and again, I just have to give kudos to the Satanic Temple for this just perfect use of satire and perfect use of the legal system to highlight these ridiculous beliefs. We mentioned that there's clubs all over the country now. I just saw an article about a club in Pennsylvania that was being discriminated against, and they fought back and they won a $200,000. I'm not sure if it was a settlement or if it was a ruling. I think it was a settlement, but we're winning. We're winning, the fight here, and so I hope that continues. However, I mentioned earlier that it's really a win-win situation. If all of the clubs get abolished, that's fine. If none of the clubs get abolished, that's fine too. Let's say, however, hypothetical situation, I want us to imagine that the Supreme Court rules on this, and this is not out of the realm of possibility here, but let's say, this gets pushed to the Supreme Court, and our heavy Catholic-leaning Supreme Court decides that these after-school Satan clubs can be discriminated against and that it's not considered unconstitutional. Let's imagine for a second that we live in a world where that's the ruling that comes down. So, do you think that the Satanic Temple should abandon this technique of emulating religion then, if they know it's not going to work? Or do you think they should instead double down and become even more of a religion in order to remain relevant in the situation? Phil, what do you think? What do you think they would, what kind of response would be appropriate if these clubs get knocked down?
Yeah, I think they should double down, and even protests against this, bring protests against even the squatters, and make people aware, put them under pressure, because to highlight even the religious discrimination aspect. Because, you know, sometimes when you give someone an inch, they want to take a mile, like Scotus has been doing. And if people do not stand up and speak out, then they will think that, oh, we can do this quite easily and get away with it all the time, before pushback. Pushback is needed. You got to put them under pressure somehow, some way. It's very important to have a voice to speak out against injustice, right? Because basically it is you see, again, the height of hypocrisy, as I keep saying, the height of hypocrisy by the Christian right. They want possession of their cake and eat it too. You know, and there's a saying that you cannot simultaneously retain possession of a cake and eat it too. And this is what they're trying to do. It's a
very astute analysis of that saying.
Yeah, you know. So, will they have protests of a Christian organization? Yeah. No. Right? And it is, I would like people to wake up. I would like people to wake up and see what, if you put certain persons in power, right, and you know they have certain leanings and certain biases, your rights eventually will be trampled upon. And this will be a trampling upon the rights of persons.
So you're saying that we have an obligation to our humanity, to our basic humanity and our basic respect of each other as human beings. That's what's at stake here, right?
Yes, this is what is at stake. Correct. Jonathan, what's your idea? What's your thoughts about that?
I think that you're absolutely correct. If you don't stand up for people's rights, whether or not you agree with them, then you lose those rights eventually. Once they get done banning atheists and banning everybody else, the non-religious, then they'll come after the sects of religion they don't agree with. And we'll have, they'll ban probably not Catholics because they're kind of the majority of the Christians, but your evangelical church might decide to get closed down by this. There's another little thing about this that keeps hitting me, is that there are there's just a lot of this going on right now. The Satanic Temple is fighting a fight. We need to double down if anything like that ever is going to keep these ultra-religious, ultra-right Christian nationals from destroying the country. And I hate to say it, but that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to turn us into a theocracy. And that is completely against everything, not just the founding fathers, but every war, every piece of sometimes not so great history that we have has maintained, is that we may not be perfect, but this experiment has to go on with democracy and republic. So I'm very concerned, but as long as we have people who are willing to stand up and say, not today, you guys go crawl back under your rocks and we'll deal with you the way we deal with anybody who's threatening our country. So I just hope that that message gets through to everybody. There is just a lot to unpack there, but I would say that kudos and well done to the Satanic Temple, and keep it up. And it will probably eventually get to the Supreme Court, but I think the justices, even the conservative ones, would realize that if they rule directly against free speech, they rule to take that away from them too. So they're no dummies up there. They know that that's not going to be a thing, So
let's hope so.
Nobody can, but you can say that I'm relatively certain. I'll bet 50 cents on it that they would side with the Satanic Temple just to keep their own religions solvent in the democracy. So I had another point, totally slipped my mind, but that's it. So Helen, you got any last comments here?
Yeah, I do. So I'm just going to say that I am very, very happy this was a win, because we are constantly, as you wonderful people pointed out, that the religious right has been pushing itself into all sorts of public spheres. And there has to be organizations, not just the TST, but other secular organizations that push back against this rhetoric, because we live in a democracy. The TST is not going to schools and saying you can't have your Bob the Wonder Toes Club. But they're like, let us play ball. Let us have this club, because we are also going to offer education and a resource to children and, teenagers, that they can get, a different perspective, become critical thinkers, become humanists, get the values that is reflected in their own homes. And if you want people to grow up to be more inclusive, if you want people to grow up to be, accept differences, you need clubs like the the Satan After School Satan Club, and other clubs that aren't teaching a rhetoric and this is the right way to think. And I think that starting with the youths is a great way to do that. And keep in mind that, yes, it's a slow movement, because, we're fighting an uphill battle, but we're moving in the right direction. We're moving to that place where, where equality doesn't have to be snatched away from us. And if you happen to be a believer watching this, be very careful about your, freedom for me, not for the attitude, because they will come for you. Never side with your potential oppressor. And that's it. Hail Satan. Everybody, have a wonderful week.
Well put there, Helen. Well put. And that'll kind of brings us to the end of our show then. And I want to thank everybody for hanging in there with us while we had this discussion. Thanks to the panel, Helen, Jonathan, Phil. It's always a fun time talking with all of you. And if you all want to see more of the nonprofits, you can find more of us right up here.